bucket of Agricole 50 was meant for use on a construction site, but early last year, the 38-year-old industrial inspector was attacked with a chemical liquid by an angry male worker named Jose Espinoza after she instructed him to use the proper safety measures, causing burns on her face, neck, arms, and legs. More than a year later, the mother of two still has no vision in her left eye and wears a bandage that covers her left cheek, where her deepest wounds still fester. This is the story of a Colombian acid attack victim named Elizabeth Ruiz. Acid throwing is a worldwide epidemic that impacts thousands of women each year. If you think about it, we tend to think that acid throwing only occurs in third world countries such as the Middle East or lower impoverished countries. But the fact is, it's happening in the US, the UK, Colombia, Iran, Bangladesh. The issue of acid throwing is one that we should all care about because it deals with the definition of human worth. Will we allow other people to decide how much someone is worth with the single swing of a bucket? Throughout this speech, I will cover the statistics and facts behind acid throwing, the meaning and effect behind acid throwing, and what can and is being done to end the devastating effects of acid throwing. So as I talked about earlier, it isn't just in the Middle East and Bangladesh, but it's also occurring in the UK, US, Colombia, Ethiopia, and even China. There have been a reported 80 cases of acid throwing in Bangladesh between 1983 and 1996, and we've seen sudden increases in the recent past, with 56 occurring in 1996. This is a fact brought to us by Women's Global Network for Reproductive Rights. In the 9-month period after 1998, there were 174 victims, of which 10 were under the age of 10, 79 were between the age of 11 and 20, and 20 were between the age of 20 and 30. Let's think about that statistic. 174 in 1998, 9 months of 1998, and there were only 56 in 13 years between 1983 and 1996. We are seeing a sudden increase in these crimes. It is now estimated that there are 200 acid attacks a year in Bangladesh by the Sisterhood Global Institute. Since 2004, there have been 1,000 acid attacks in Colombia. So we're seeing a trend. Acid attacks are increasing, but there's no increase in how the police are dealing with it. So here, in 2002, there were 490 acid attacks in Bangladesh, but only 53 were brought to police. And even worse, in 2007, there were 192 acid attacks in Bangladesh, and only 18 were brought to the police. Police do not take the issue seriously. And even if you do bring it to the police, there is no chance that they will bring it to court. Finally, a case report can sometimes cost $15. $15, that's half a pair of shoes for us, maybe a couple lunches at Chipotle. For someone living in a low-income country such as Bangladesh, that is a week's worth of their family's income. And even if they do find the money to file their report, it can sometimes take a whole week for them to even look at the case, as stated by the situational assessment of acid throwing. But the government is trying to address this issue. It passed a law in 1995 setting the death penalty as the maximum punishment for these crimes. So that sounds like they're trying to fix the issue, but how can they get the death penalty if the government isn't even taking the cases? So that's another issue. Even if we do have punishments for these severe crimes, there's no way we can punish the people if they're not even being brought into jail. So now that we have the facts behind acid throwing, let's delve a little more into its meaning and its effects. So society in these countries tells women that they are only valuable as wives and, by extension, mothers, as said by the Surviving Faces by Versteeg Chowdhury. In these countries where marriage is sold with dowries or exchanges or arranged marriages, there are two things that define a woman's worth: beauty and wealth. And these acid attacks are occurring by men who were either rejected by the women, did not receive their dowry or were in a property disputes. So they throw acid on these women saying, if I can't have you, no one can. You're no longer beautiful, no one will marry you, and I'm ending your life because I decided to. Victim of blaming occurs in these countries, and they isolate themselves from society, and it ruins their sense of self-worth, and their families can even disassociate from them because of these acts. It usually occurs with low-income families because they cannot afford to fix the issue. Although the idea of acid attacks is a dark one, there is hope for a better future. A group called Narpoko in Bangladesh is working to create a network with burned women, helping them write personal columns, and urge doctors to perform surgeries for these low-income victims. I would like to finish with a quote by a Bangladeshi woman who was burned with a cigarette when she was younger. Her name is Taslima Nasreen. I feel very fortunate that so far, no one has burned my face or blinded my eyes by throwing acid. So far, I am very fortunate that no gang of men has raped me. So far, I am very fortunate that I'm still alive. For that offense of mine, that I am a woman. I must judge so many averages. My education, my taste, my intellect have not made me a human being, but left me a woman. In this country, whatever their qualifications, women cannot rise to the state of being human. Thank you.